Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. So in this particular video, we are going to discuss about the recent unfortunate stampede that has happened in the capital of South Korea, Seoul. And we are going to discuss what could be the reason behind such a stampede that keeps on occurring every now and then in different parts of the world, including India itself. Also, we are going to discuss about it, what is a stampede, and as far as the crowd management is concerned, how important is crowd management to ensure that such kind of unfortunate events does not happen. Also, in the end, we are going to discuss that what has been the guidelines as far as the crowd management and stampede prevention is concerned is given by the NDMA, that is National Disaster Management Authority. So let us start first of all the context in which we are discussing today's issue. So as we know that in few days back, a mass of mostly young people who were celebrating out Halloween on the streets of Seoul, they became trapped and crushed as a result of the stampede. It happened, it is believed that when the crowd surged into a narrow alley, and when the crowd surged into this narrow alley due to certain reason, there was a lot of, we can say, there's a lot of people that started to move in the same area. And due to this reason, there was a stampede which killed almost 151 people, and also around 82 other people have been injured as well. This is also being termed as one of the worst disasters of South Korea in decades. The risk of such tragic accidents again has started to increase because from past 2 years when the world was battling the COVID-19 crisis, most of people were staying indoors, and also there was a better guidelines that were put into place in different countries that limited the number of participants in any kind of event, any kind of crowd. So with COVID-19 pandemic fizzling out, now again the participation of people in the crowd has increased, and not only that, even now people are participating with much more fanfare because obviously from last 2 years they has been trapped in their homes. So the risk that stampede and mismanagement of crowd again present to us has been on rise in different regions of the world. So what can be called or considered as cause of death when there is a such kind of stampede? Now, again, many people erroneously believe that the people die in stampede because of trampling. But as far as the experts are concerned, as far as the doctors and the team of scientists are concerned, they believe that trampling is not the major cause, but it is suffocation that causes death of a huge number of people whenever there is a stampede-like situation. And as per one expert from the King's College London, he said that in 30 seconds after stampede begins and people start to push against each other, within 30 seconds people can lose consciousness. Within 30 seconds to 6 minutes people can lose consciousness because they are being compressed from both direction or from all directions by other people. And it is believed that the force that a stampede generates is same as it's so huge that basically it can bend a bar, a rod of steel. So under such humongous pressure, under such humongous force, people find very difficult to breathe, and when they stop breathing, when they have difficulty in breathing, it can lead to loss of consciousness. Once people become unconscious and also they are trapped in this huge crowds, gradually within the next 5 to 6 minutes there is a compressive or restrictive asphyxia that sets in the masses. The compressive or restrictive asphyxia can be considered or can be termed as lack of breathing because of the pressure or lack of breathing because of the force or high force. So what can trigger such event? Though obviously we cannot pinpoint a single region or couple of regions that can give rise to stampede. So there are several cases where the stampede has occurred due to several different regions. For example, recent time in the nightclub of Chicago there was a stampede, and here it is believed that it was security guard who started using pepper spray to break up a fight that began between two different groups or two rival groups. Again, if we take example of recent example of Indonesian football stadium, here again there was a tear gas that was fired by security personnel into a half-locked stadium. Not only that, even we talk about this recent stampede, current stampede of which we are talking about, that is Seoul stampede. Here it is believed that large number of people they went into a narrow alley. And why so many people went into this narrow alley? It is believed that they rushed to a bar that was situated in that alley, and it was a rumor that an unidentified celebrity is in the bar, and that is why people wanted to take autograph, photograph, or meet the celebrity. That actually caused huge number of people migrate moving in the same direction in a narrow area. So we can see that there are multiple reasons that can cause stampede. However, if we try to concentrate, we can clearly see that anywhere where a stampede is being created or a stampede happens, it happens mainly because of two reasons. First, there is some spread or some type of rumor that start to spread in the crowd, and this kind of rumor can create a fear or sudden fear among the masses. For example, if there is a huge crowd that is moving in a particular direction and someone, like for example, starts screaming fire, fire, or someone is having a gun, in that case, it will create a mass fear psychosis and people will start to run to save their life. And unfortunately, in the attempt to save their life, many people lose their lives. So that is the reason why stampedes can be triggered. Now, as far as the NDMA is concerned, the simple definition of stampede is given is that when a crowd of people moves in the same direction at the same time, some may collide and pile up against or on top of each other. This is a stampede, and many times it is a result of crowd mismanagement. That means we can also say that a stampede and the loss of life due to stampede is not a natural phenomena, rather it is a man-made disaster. Now let us turn our attention toward India. So as far as the data from the National Crime Records Bureau or NCRB is concerned, we can clearly see that this is the graph of stampedes in India. We can see there is no fixed pattern. In some years, stampede related deaths are very less, while in some years the stampede related deaths are very high. For example, in 2015, we have almost 480 people who have died from a stampede. Similarly, in 2011, we have almost similar number of people who have died from a stampede. So it depends that what kind of gathering or how many number of mass gathering is taking place in a particular year. In those years where we have large number of festivals where mass gathering becomes very common, or some trigger events can be there, in those years the number of casualties seem to be very high. The major stampede related disasters that India has experienced in recent time, we can see that not one part of India but almost everywhere there is a high risk of stampede and stampede related disaster. In recent time, we have disaster that has happened in the Sabrimala stampede where almost 100 people have lost their life. Similarly, in 2008, we have a stampede that happened in the Naina Devi temple in the Bilaspur region of Himachal Pradesh where almost 160 people lost their life. And deadliest of them is a single disaster where almost 440 people have lost their life, is when there was a fire that broke in the school function in the Dabawali region of Haryana in 1995. So we can see that depending on what is the number of masses, number of people that are participating in different events, the casualty number can significantly increase or can be reduced. Now, what step government of India has taken to ensure that there are proper or adequate safeguards and compensation for from the this stampede? So, three major legal provisions are there which we can understand. First is there is enactment of Disaster Management Act in the year 2005, which governs the integrities of a stampede and stampede related actions. Second, we have is the State Police Act of different state, which is governed by Police Act of 1861, or guidelines is given Police Act of 1861, where the state police personnel have been given power that in any area or any place or any time when any mass gathering is occurring, at that time police has power to stop movement of people in a particular direction, or police have power to direct the movement of crowd in a particular direction, or even if they can arrest some miscreant if they think that they can that can give rise to some kind of rumors or certain kind of we can say stampede like situation. Similarly, different state have enumerated, or we can say different state have come up with state specific Mela Act or Cinema Act again to control the gathering of crowd. So we do not have any single act at the central level. The only act we have is Disaster Management Act 2005, and apart from that, generally the management of crowd and the stampede related legal provisions are dealt in the state basis. Now, as far as the disaster or crowd disaster is concerned, as per NDMA, it has recognized that there are three major reasons why stampede can be triggered. The first is there can be structural failure. For example, if a bridge is there, as we have seen recently in the case of Morbi Bridge, then if a lot of people, more than the number of people that can be accommodated on that particular bridge are passing through, that can lead to collapse. Same thing stands even for the pandals or the tents or all this kind of situations. Apart from that, there can be human errors. For example, there can be fire or there can be electricity spark that can trigger fire that can also cause a stampede. And third is natural calamity. If a lot of people are gathering, especially in the hilly area, and there has been incidents such as landslide, massive rainfall, earthquake, all this can also trigger stampede like phenomena. Now, once these stampedes are triggered, people go into the state of panic, or sometimes, if for example, as we have seen, the people become very excited when they heard about that there is some celebrity in some bar in the narrow alley of Seoul, and that is why people start going in that areas. So in these circumstances, there are a lot of force, information, space, and time. All these things are there that has to be considered, and the main duty of the police personnel or the authorities should be to ensure that overcrowding does not happen where there is risk of such incidences. Also, we have to make sure that attendance level, what kind of action is being performed by performer, whether the arrangement is improper or adequate, all these things have to be checked by the authority before giving permission to any event that actually attracts large number of people. So let us try to understand now what has been the NDMA guidelines as far as the crowd management is concerned. So NDMA says that the before we can manage the crowd, before we can focus upon crowd management, there are certain inputs that the authorities have to take into consideration. The first is they have to ensure and they have to properly understand that what kind of events they are going to manage, whether the event is religious nature, whether it is a school or college related festival, whether there are some sports events, political events, and so, because in different kind of event we have different kind of emotions at play, we have different level of excitement among the people, and that is something that is very important when you are trying to manage the crowd. Second, the authorities also have to first of all understand that what is the number of crowd or what is the number of people that are expected to participate in any particular event. Third, the motive of the crowd should also be given due consideration, that with what motive crowds are trying to we can say move in a particular area or come in a particular area. Fourth is what kind of venue do we have, what kind of geographical terrain do we have, is it a hilly area, is it a plain area, whether it is open space or confined space, whether it is a public space or private space, what is the capacity of that particular state. These are something that also we have to take into consideration. And last is the stakeholders, what are the who are the stakeholders in a particular event and what are their objectives. Once these all things are properly evaluated, only then the authorities should focus on the management level of or management aspect of the crowd. Once the crowd management is again began or begins, then we have the authorities have to focus upon the capacity planning, risk assessment, improved preparedness planning in case of any disaster, that imminent disaster that can occur, or incident response, what kind of incident response will be given by who. There should be proper designation of roles and responsibility of all the officials that are engaged and involved in the participation and management of event. So this is the rough guidelines as far as the NDMA is concerned. However, experts in India believe that there are certain concerns as far as the crowd management in India is concerned. So first of all, in many events which take place in different regions of India, we know that India is a diverse land with huge or humongous population, and every time there is some kind of event that is going on in the major cities of India. However, the number of, we can say, events are so high that many time authorities do not have time or do not have resources to follow a proper crowd management plan. So this is something that we have to first of all we can say rectify if we want to manage properly the crowd in India. Second, the rising number of human population as well as the rising rate of urbanization has also created more, we can say, probability of certain disaster or such kind of disaster. Third is, in India, especially since people have been used to live in a very densely populated region, and that is why there is a greater tolerance for high density crowds in India. So people do not panic if the crowds and the size and number of crowds are continuously growing up. Only when there is some kind of we can say trigger events that take place. For example, if there is a fire, if there is some kind of rumor that start to spread, then only people start to panic and start to run in a random direction, and that is when the stampede like situation occurs in India. Fourth, the governance and accountability is something that is still missing in many stampede like situations that we have seen in the past times in India. So that is something that also have to be first of all rectified if we want to manage crowd properly. So these are the four concerns that experts have said or experts believe to have in the case of Indian crowd management. So what we can say in the way forward is that, as we have discussed in the beginning of the session as well, that the stampede is not a natural phenomenon, it's not a natural disaster, rather it is a man-made disaster, and such tragedies can be easily prevented. And to prevent such tragedies, what we have to focus upon, first, there should be proactive planning and execution. If any event, especially mass event where thousands and thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people are participating, such as Kumbh Mela in India. Second, since India has suffered from several such stampedes, the NDMA should come up with a central repository of incidences. For example, all such stampede related incidents that have happened in India, NDMA should make collect data from that and try to learn from the past mistakes and try to incorporate that what more could have been done in the future such phenomena or future such events. Third is that, as we have discussed, the stampede is generally triggered by spirit of rumor, and that is why every place where large mass gathering is taking place, the authorities should focus upon the public address system. Through public address system, the advantage is that if any rumor has spread, or if something, or the people want, the authorities want to pacify the crowd, in that case, public address system can play a very important role. So these are some things that can be incorporated as far as the crowd management in India is concerned. So in conclusion, what we can simply say that there is a very well-known statement that a rumor can kill thousands than a bullet can. And second, we have a well-known principle that is called as Murphy's law or Murphy's principle, that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And this should be a guiding principle of the crowd management authorities related to any kind of crowd in India, any kind of event in India. They have to prepare themselves. They have to prepare all the officials that there is a high possibility that there will be a stampede. There's a high possibility that there can be some panic in the crowd, and that is how they should prepare themselves. So if we follow these principles, then obviously the crowd management and the we can say the decline in the incidences of stampedes can obviously be ensured. So that is all for this particular video. I hope you understood about the concepts and learning behind the crowd management as well as stampede. So if you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. Thank you very much.